大家在7月份的预购书单里面，我要推荐一本让我非常惊艳的绘本，它的书名是 The Story of Life, a First Book About Evolution。 如果从封面来看插图的话，大家可能会猜得到是它跟进化演化有关系哦。没错，这一本就是在讨论有关地球的进化。那收集10多年来的绘本这一段期间，我从来没有收集过是关于有地球进化的绘本。它里面的插图画得很可爱，然后知识很丰富，会推荐跟大班以上的孩子做共读。那不只适合小孩读，也很适合大人读哦。那跟孩子共读前，会建议爸爸妈妈自己先预习过，然后再选出你想要跟孩子分享的内容。它总共有40页，我会努力把里面的内容介绍给大家，然后如果有卡的地方，还请大家多包涵。那我们就从45亿年前开始说吧。他说 At first, nothing lived on Earth. It was a very hot and noisy place. 一开始在这个地球上没有任何的生物，它很吵又很热。然后很吵的原因是因为有很多火山爆发。A massive rock from space called meteoroids smashed into churning seas. 然后很吵的还有另外一个原因是从外太空飞进来的流星体，然后撞击到地球表面。Deep underwater, hot black gases belched towards the surface of this strange, lifeless world. 然后这是35亿年前。Then, in the deep, dark ocean, something amazing happened. 然后在很深很黑的海洋里，有事情发生咯。In warm water near underwater volcanoes called black smokers, some tiny floating bits came together. 它的 black smoker 我找到的资料中文是说海底富含硫化物的高温热液活动区。然后呢 These beads were so small that you couldn't possibly see them. They could have dropped from space or bubbled up from under the seabed.They formed the beginning of life on Earth. 所以他说很小的这些东西，然后你有时候你可能小到连肉眼看不到，它可能是从外太空来的，或者是从这些海底然后所浮上来的，然后这一些东西它们就形成了地球上的生物哦，一开始最早的生物。然后这里是30亿年前，他说This first life was just an incredibly small shapeless blob called a cell. 所以这个东西就叫做了分子。As time passed, cells lived together, making sticky, slim mats that grew into months as big as pillows. 所以它们慢慢连接在一起，变大了。Some cells started using sunlight,water and a gas in the air to help them grow. 然后这些分子，其中一些这些分子，它们开始透过阳光、水，还有空气里面的那些气体，帮助它们自己长大。Cells multiplied into billions, and so the seas clouded with lots of new kinds of life. 所以这些分子它们慢慢长大，慢慢演化，然后海底里面就变成有很多生物咯。Some cells puffed out an invisible gas called oxygen, which completely changed the air and even the color of the planet. Circling the globe, the oxygen turned black rock shades of yellow, red, and brown. 然后这一些分子里面有一些会释放出气体，那气体是指的是氧气，然后从此来改变了这个地球。然后接着说 Ever so slowly, over millions of years, cells got more complicated. They filled with special parts that helped them do new things. 所以翻页之间又过了好几百年。他说这些分子呢，他们开始变得越来越复杂，然后他们有不同的部位，然后会帮助他们做不同的事情哦。像是什么呢？ Some began to live together, even inside each other. As the air filled with oxygen, some cells began to use it to grow and grow. So this new gas changed living things forever. 所以氧气改变了这些生物的生存的方式。Cells grew into all kinds of weird and wonderful shapes and sizes. Some of these became the first animals, and life on Earth really began to get going. 然后这些分子慢慢的进化，开始变成了动物哦。然后他说，在地球上的生物的进化就从这里开始咯。他说 The seas filled with wriggling, drifting, pulsating, living things. 海底非常的热闹。Millions more years passed, and these wobbly blobs became soft jellyfish and worms. Slowly, they evolved into animals more like crabs and fish. 所以这些分子慢慢进化之后，有的变成了虫，有的变成了水母，有的变成了长得像是螃蟹或是鱼类的东西。Some of these sea creatures fought for space, ate each other, and grew bigger and bigger. Others nibbled plants and gobbled the remains of dead animals drifting by. 然后有一些为了生存，所以他们会吃其他的生物，然后就越来越大。然后有一些只是会选择在海底深处自己生活着。From the dark depths to the shallow pools, different types of creatures found different wet and watery places to live. 然后接下来他说 With the seas full of life. 刚刚有提到说海底里面越来越拥挤咯，所以怎么样呢？ Plants and animals finally began to invade the land. 所以他们开始慢慢爬上陆地了。In shallow water, soggy weeds stretched toward the sun very, very slowly, evolving into tall trees. Different plants appeared, spreading hundreds of shades of greens across the land. 所以刚开始只是杂草，然后它慢慢的演化就变成了很高的树，然后它们就是长到在地面上的很多地方开始生长咯。然后这里说 Eventually, swampy forest filled with frog-like creatures and other slimy things. Giant insects took off and flew for the first time through hot, damp air. 所以这时候呢，就开始有长得像青蛙的生物，还有一些黏哒哒看起来的生物开始演化出来了。然后还有很巨型的昆虫，它们开始了飞行。好，这里有说 Fish with bendy necks and leg-like things called tiktaalik drag themselves onto the shore. 这个呢是一种非常古生物的鱼种，我查了一下它的中文叫做提塔利克鱼，它是鱼类跟两栖类拥有鱼类跟两栖类的特征，所以它们的头是可以转的，脖子是可以转的，然后它们有像是脚一样的鳍，然后帮助他们在陆地上活动。接下来这里说 Then disaster struck. Something terrible happened that killed most life on Earth. 然后有灾难发生了，他把这时候的在地球上的所有的生物几乎都杀死了。We don't know what it was, and scientists are still hunting for clues. 到现在，科学家还是在想，到底是为什么这些生物都灭绝了呢？ Perhaps massive cloud of dust from exploding volcano block out the sun. 有可能是因为火山爆发，这些烟层它遮住了阳光，所以才让这些生物死掉的。Without light or heat, it was hard to survive.But scaly lizard-like animals did survive. 没有阳光，没有适合的温度，生物没有办法生存。但是这一些像蜥蜴的动物，它们活下来咯。They laid the first eggs out of water, began to multiply and grow bigger than ever before. 这是第一次有生物在陆地上生蛋。In time, they became the most enormous creature that have ever lived on land, the dinosaurs. 然后它慢慢进化，这些颈蜥蜴就进化成在陆地上最大的生物，就是恐龙。然后这边有介绍一些孩子大部分主要看到的恐龙，像是暴龙啊、腕龙啊，然后那是迅猛龙，还有就是有那个棘龙。它里面说 When the largest dinosaur walked, the earth shook. These gigantic reptiles thousands crossed deserts while others waded through swamps. 所以他们居住在不同的地方。好，这里说 As tall as a house with jagged teeth, some were truly terrifying. 有的跟房子一样大，然后非常尖的牙齿，看了就令人非常的害怕。Small dinosaurs with toothless beaks were some of the fastest of all, chasing across the plain with their hook-like hands. Some ate plants while others ate the plant eaters. 所以有肉食性的恐龙跟草食性的恐龙。They wandered all over the land, which was one giant island, just beginning to crack and drift apart. 所以这个时期呢，他们是在一个很大的大陆上活动的，然后在这个时期，这些大陆就要开始分裂咯。Extraordinary lizard-like creatures cruising through the air, while huge crocodiles, sharks, and other giant reptiles swam in warm seas. 啊，在这个时期，在天上飞的是像是是异手龙吗？如果我说错，请纠正我。然后在海底有像是大鲨鱼、大鳄鱼，还有很多的爬虫类在里面。Reptile， 对不起，对，爬虫类。The air, land, the sea filled with millions of different plants and animals. 然后在这个时期已经是2亿到6500万年前的这个期间，在陆地上有这么多的生物。接着他说 Little furry animals, the first mammals scuttled into holes in crowded forest. They were the first to have babies rather than lay eggs. 在这段期间，哺乳类也进化成有哺乳类的动物，然后它们不再只是生蛋哦，它们会有生出来 baby 宝宝。All kinds of living things fought for food and space. The most successful survived, and the first bird began to squawk and sing. 他说，那时期的生物呢，他们必须要彼此竞争，然后为了食物，为了居住的地方，然后这样子最适合生存的人会活下来。然后在这个时期，鸟类也出现了，开始会叫哦。这个是始祖鸟。Splash of color appeared as the first flower warmed in the sun. With the help of insects, these flowers thrived and spread their new scents drifting on the breeze. 然后这里说开始有花的部分长出来了。But once more, everything was about to change. 哇，又有什么重大的改变了呢？陨石掉下来了。A gigantic rock called a meteorite crashed into the planet, blasting thick dust into the air. 所以一颗巨大的陨石掉在这个地球上，然后造成了非常大的这些烟雾，然后弥漫在空气当中。Volcanoes erupt around the globe, leaving things were smothered as dust settled, lava flowed, and temperature fell. 然后这样的烟尘就让这些生物窒息了，然后这个时期，然后那个岩浆也一直在这边到处流动，然后整个温度，地表上的温度也下降咯。The world was plunged into icy darkness. In freezing weather, without food, the dinosaur died. 所以在这个非常冷的冰河时期呢，这些恐龙就死掉了，因为很糟糕的天气，还没有食物可以吃。This time, the little hairy animals survived, Perhaps they found shelter and their fur kept them warm. These warm-blooded furry creatures evolved into lots of different kinds of animals, and so, with the dinosaurs gone, the mammals took over the world. 然后这一次呢，哺乳类它们存活下来咯，因为它们可能有地方可以居住，然后它们的毛可以让它们保暖，然后因为是恒温的动物，它们开始演化成不同种类的动物，哺乳类动物。然后这个时候恐龙已经不存在了，所以变成哺乳类统治这个世界。In Africa, monkeys and apes swam through huge forests across the land. 这次时期呢，非洲它有同时存在了猴子还有猿。They each found different food to eat and different parts of the forest to live in. Some chattered in trees, while others ventured across the forest floor. 然后有一些是在树上爬的，这样晃来晃去的，有一些是在地上移动行走的。Over time, less rain fell and forests became more patchy. Apes that started using just 2 legs to cross more open land survived better. They evolved into the first humans. 所以这些猿呢，进化成了人类，这是我们人类的进化哦。They evolved into the first human. 接下来Scientists found the bones of one of these first ape-like humans, and they called her Lucy. Lucy lived over 3 million years ago. 所以科学家发现了300万年前像是猿的人类，然后他们把它称为 Lucy。在台中的自然科学博物馆可以看到它的样子。Fossil footprints show that these early people walked side by side across the open plains. 然后这些化石呢，显示出来他们早期的这些人类，他们是肩并肩的，然后在不同的地方移动。They learned to make fire to keep warm. 他们还学会了如何制造火苗出来。They sharpened stones for tools and they hunted. 然后他们开始会用一些石头制造成工具，然后用它来打猎。Different groups began to walk out of Africa and find new places to live. 然后从非洲这些人种开始移动到不同的地方咯。As they explored, the earth got colder and colder.Ice spread and the sea froze. In these ice ages, life for early people was a real struggle. The people who used tools and found ways to keep warm survived better. These people spread and settled all over the world. Their brains developed and they began to think more like us. 然后当这些人呢，他们一直从非洲然后移动到不同的地区的这一段时间，地球变得越来越冷，然后这些冰河时期让这些早期的人类非常的难以生存，所以会使用工具的这些帮自己取暖保暖的人类呢，他们可以存活下来，然后这些人就开始在全世界分散咯，然后他们的脑袋开始也是在演化，然后一直到跟我们现在的人类是差不多的。As the earth warmed, they started farming and growing food. Everyone in the world is related to these survivors, including you. 所以当地球开始慢慢变暖之后，他们开始有耕种，然后开始种植食物，然后这些我们现在的人类，包括我们你跟我，都跟这些以前的人是有关系的。People like all life on Earth will carry on evolving over time. We are learning more and more about the world around us. 所以在地球上的生物，包括我们人类，会一直不断的进化演化。Yet, we are destroying wild places and changing the climate, and so humans are causing the extinction of many plants and animals. But like all living things, we depend on each other to survive. The challenge for all of us is to care for this blue-green planet that is our home. 他说，可是我们人类呢，一直在破坏这些野生的地方，而且还破坏天气，还造成了很多的植物还有动物就绝种嘞。他说，我们呢，跟其他的生物一样，都是要互相彼此依赖的生存着的。所以他说，我们要意识到的是如何保护这个地球。With or without us, our planet will spin through space for billions of years to come.So the end of this book is far from the end of the incredible story of life on Earth. 不觉得它 ending 超美的吗？好像一首诗。他说，不管我们有没有存在，这个地球还会继续着运转着数百、数千、数亿年哦。然后他说，这本书的故事的结束，其实才是这个地球演化的人生的其中一小部分而已。它还会持续进行着。然后他最后呢，就把一些名词，然后把它解释，用非常简单的字解释出来。像 fossil, evidence found in the rocks of living things that exist millions of years ago. 这里在关于化石的解释。然后还有 ice ages, long periods of time when ice covered large parts of the earth.非常多，是一本可以让大人跟小孩长知识的好绘本。对，这一整个感觉录的有点卡，因为要及时做翻译，所以真的要请大家包涵。那我就先介绍到这里，谢谢。